So, if you watched my last video, which you could also consider my first video, I guess, you would know that I have recently switched from my old Android phone to an iPhone 6S. And while it's already been very interesting for me, and I already have a lot of thoughts about the switch, that is not the point of this video. This video is to address one of my biggest problems I've had with this 6S since I switched over, and that is the battery. Now, I mentioned in the last video that the battery was not great. It was about 67% on the battery health, but I thought that I could just carry a battery bank with me and it would have been fine. But I did not realize just how bad this battery was. First, it's just old. It's an old phone. Batteries are consumables. They don't last forever. And this one is long past its best buy date. And second, it is starting to warm up here, but it's still rather cold. And the cold does not help the battery life at all. And so you might be wondering, just how bad is it? And one story I have is that the day I switched to it, I spent most of the afternoon with it plugged in while downloading my apps, getting it all set up. And then we decided to go out to a restaurant for dinner. And when we left the house, I was at about 35% battery. We walked to the restaurant. It was about a 10-minute walk. And by the time I arrived, it was already at 20%. So I turned on the battery saving mode and we ordered. Then I pulled out the phone to look up some stuff. After a little bit of searching, it had already gone down to about 5%. And I was just shocked by how bad the battery is. And that's been the experience with this phone. I'm just always right next to a charger, and it has just drove me crazy. But today, I hope to fix that. So today, my goal is to replace my battery. Now, in the last video, I talked about a few options you had. You could take it to Apple directly, and they would replace it for about $60 for this model. Now, given how old the device is, I don't know how much longer I'll be getting support, and so I didn't want to quite spend that much money. The other option is to do it yourself. Now, there are many kits you can buy online for this, and if you've noticed, I've cleverly hidden the kit that I bought for today. I did a little bit of research and saw that this one had relatively good reviews on Amazon. This kit cost me about 2,000 yen, or about $20 US. And my goal today is to try and replace the battery. Now, I'm a little nervous because I've never taken apart one of these phones before. Alright, so here's how I'll try and record this. I have the phone and the setup here. I have some gloves because I don't want to try and get too much dust inside the phone or anything. I do have my laptop up here with the iFixit repair guide on the screen so that I can follow along with that. I have this piece of paper here that's mostly for some notes if I need them. So let's take a look in this replacement guide. See that I already opened it to see what I was getting into. So I have the wipes to wipe the phone. New adhesive strips for the battery. A thank you guide. Replacement screws. I think if you lose one, they give you a little baggie of extras. So that's pretty thoughtful. The tools I need. Yeah, so screwdriver. This is just a small Phillips. Pair of like sharp angled tweezers. Suction cup. You really need this to help you get the screen off from what I've seen. This is the, I believe it's called Pentalobe screwdriver. The iPhone has this proprietary screw on the bottom here where it's like a 5-pointed star. And so this is the special screw for that. A few more prying tools to help you separate all the equipment. And this should be the battery. Yes. With a few warnings. So now, step one is to power off the device. So, okay, should be off. First is to take the pentalobe screwdriver and remove the 2 screws at the bottom. Take a suction cup, put it down here, like so. So while pulling this display back with one hand, use the other and the prying tool to separate. Lift up the display from the phone. You can see the adhesive pulling. Now I don't have new adhesive, so that's fine. Now it won't set as well, and there's also some concerns with water resistance without new adhesive. So big thing I saw, do not lift this beyond about 90%. Now that you're inside, there's 2 screws right here. This is the cover for the battery. So these are Phillips. Right here is the battery connector. You had to be a bit more forceful. There we go. So now the battery's disconnected, and I can move up to the display connectors. Up here, there's 4 screws. Here, 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 and here. Oh, sorry, not this one. This one down here. So here, 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 and here. Now there are 3 connectors for the display. There's this one. There's a smaller one behind it. There. And then the third one is to the side over here. So. And now should be able to remove the display. Next is finally the battery. There are 2 pull tabs right here and here. So you want to use the tweezers to sort of pick off the tab until you can get a good grip. And you want to pull as flat as you can straight out from the device. This is to stretch the adhesive strip so that it'll let go and you can just pull the battery right out. Oh, it already tore. No, it's too brittle. Okay, so for now, I'm gonna get a hairdryer, warm up the back of the phone. Hopefully that'll release the adhesive and I can get a better grip on the other side. Oh, there we go. See how flat it is? That's what I want. Never mind. Okay. So before I seal the phone again, I'm gonna see if it turns on. Oh my god, it worked. Let's make sure the touch works and everything. Alright, I finally got the screws in. Just slide the display in on the top. It's a bit of adhesive on the bottom. Push it down flat. Finally, is to put these two screws back in next to the lightning connectors. The final check. The Apple display showed up. Let's get all the way in just to make sure. I just went to TechCrunch to make sure everything's loading in. Scroll still works. The home button works. Alright, there we go. So the battery was replaced. I have the old battery in the kind of new batteries box. Do not just throw this away. That's very dangerous for these old cells. Find a recycling center, a battery recycling center near you. There's one kind of near me that I'll take this to so that it gets disposed of properly. With regards to the phone, I put on the screen protector, though I don't really like it too much because it's surprisingly thick and doesn't go all the way to the edge. I also got this hard plastic little case for about $1. It's mostly just to protect the back from little scratches and stuff like that, though it doesn't really feel as good as the aluminum, sadly, though it does have much better grip than the aluminum ever had. The aluminum is very slippery. In regards to the battery replacement, I'm so glad it's still working. I got the screen working. I can mess with it. The fingerprint reader, Touch ID still works, all that. So that's fantastic. But with regards to doing the replacement, was very stressful. I've never worked on anything like this before. The most I've done was working on a desktop, which is rather easy in comparison. And a little bit more complicated is the laptop. And the most annoying thing about a laptop is, at least for this one that I work on, is the plastic seam to open up the bottom case. Removing the display from the iPhone is like that times 10. It's absolutely anxiety inducing for your first time. I had a few problems, the main one being the adhesive strips on the battery. But the experience is a good experience to have. I'm glad I did it. I would have never done anything like this really on an Android device because they get out of date so quickly. So to be able to just $20, get a kit, pop out the old battery, pop in a new one, and keep this thing going for a little bit longer is fantastic, and I'm glad that I could do it. I think it was a good experience. I'll have to get back to you on how good the battery life is, so I'll put a little clip at the end to talk about the new battery life. But all in all, good experience to have. Glad I did it. Glad it's still working. Hey, I got a haircut. Anyway, so final thoughts on the battery replacement. It was great. It has taken this phone from always keeping me by a charger to getting me sometimes 2 days without needing to plug it in. It has been a huge quality of life improvement for this phone. And while there are risks in doing it yourself, if you break it, you have no one else to complain to. There's also no pride that you get from taking it to someone else to replace it. And I got a lot of pride from taking this phone apart and putting in the new battery myself. If you have an old phone that you want to squeeze a little bit more juice out of, I would recommend it maybe giving this at least a look and replacing your own battery. And with that, thank you for watching. I do plan on making one more video on the pros and cons of switching to the iPhone. And I also have more videos in the works, so I hope to see you next time.